Dentistry and General Radio Network presents
the Independent Dental Practice Podcast with Dr. Sonny Spera. In this episode,
welcome to the Independent Dental Practice Podcast. Today's a fun episode. It's Dr. Arun Garg. I don't know if you know him. He is a big person in the implant education field, and he's all about teaching GPs the art and the science and the beauty of implants and where they fit in and how it works. And among that, other oral surgery and a multitude of classes now, implant seminars. He's a good friend. I took his course. I took multiple courses. I took the live action in Dominican Republic. That was a hoot. My partner and I went and did it, and then now my two youngest associates, one's my son, one's Dr. Vermont. They've done the course, the curriculum. They loved it. It's really been a changing environment. But what we're talking about today is corporate versus private. Dr. Garg owns 8 private, independent, fee-for-service dental practices. He also is a part of a DSO corporation. So if somebody understands both sides, he does. So he's a tremendous resource. I hope you enjoy the episode. I would really love some feedback because I think there's so many topics that we can expand on that are going to be helpful. And you're going to get an unbiased view. This is a person who walks the walk, just doesn't talk the talk. And if you like the episode, of course, here's my spiel. Click like, share with your friends, subscribe, all that stuff. We're growing this thing little by little, and we appreciate every step of the way. If you don't like it, it's something you didn't appreciate, or you want to be a guest, or you got some interest in it, my personal email is sonnyspera@gmail.com or the independent dental practice @gmail.com. You can hit me up there. 607-624-2962. You can reach out to my cell phone. Text is probably the best, most effective method. And shameless plug, we are in the market. We're trying to find a doc to join our practice. We have 7 docs, 5 offices, completely out of network. We're in upstate New York. We're looking for a few good docs that want to join a family. And not in the Italian sense, but in the bigger sense, a family of dental practices with a family of team members and a family of doctors that want to do what's best for the patient. Got all the bells and whistles, got our own lab, you name it. Hit me up. You got my number. You got my email. By all means, you got any interest, call. If you got friends that got interest, call, email, text. Hope you enjoyed this show. I had a blast doing it. Have a great day.
breaking down the real differences between corporate dentistry and private practice. A discussion with Dr. Sonny Spera.
Welcome to the Independent Dental Practice Podcast. Today, we have one of my good friends and one of my teachers and mentors in this crazy world of dentistry. This is Dr. Arun Garg. He's a renowned surgeon, educator, and author who has built an impressive entrepreneurial track record. He has made a career of training GPs on implant placement. And beyond founding one of the nation's leading dental education companies, he's also scaled businesses ranging from dental clinics and a DSO to restaurants, even a hotel, with decades of experience blending clinical and business acumen. That was the one thing. I took his course, full disclosure, myself, my partner, we took his course. We loved it. In fact, I took it. I immediately called my partner and said, you got to get down here. Let's do this together. And it just lit a fire. It's been one of the best things we've done. He brings a unique insight into what it takes to build, grow, and sustain thriving ventures across multiple industries. Welcome, my good friend, and I'm sure you've all heard of him, Dr. Arun Garg. How you doing, man?
Excellent. Thank you. Glad to be here.
All right. So excited. Here's the beauty of it. I'm going to give you a couple of examples, right?
Okay.
I want our listeners to just hear a few things. This is from the heart, right? Signed up for the course, and then we were doing, I think it was the pig jaw anatomy course down in Miami. So we're going to Miami. We're going to see the doc in his home, right? So I'm like, you know what? Let's go a day or two early. We call, we talk to Maria, talk to this. We get in, we come down a day early, we hang out, and we're watching him actually work, right? Because to me, there's so much credibility that goes with people that walk the walk, not just talk the talk. So that was super impressive. He had this, I'll never forget, he had this cool tray that he developed that he puts over the patient. It's like a Mayo stand, but it's a bigger one. And I was like, oh, that is awesome. And then I'm thinking, I can sit in bed and eat TV. And I was starting to think of other things, right? I was going off on a tangent. But I was just amazed. And what came through and what always comes through is your passion and your passion to teach and to pass on that knowledge. Just for example, teaching people how to do extractions and bone grafts.
Yeah.
And here's the deal. And here's what it costs you. And here's how you break it down. Why not add it? You don't need to charge $700, $800, $900 for this. Here's what the real costs are. it was so tangible. And I was so anxious to get started. And my partner had placed a ton of implants. He did a 2-year residence VA. He had placed almost 200 implants. Here I am. I had placed bupkis. So we were on different ends of the spectrum, and we worked together. And we did the Dominican trip, and we didn't want to leave the clinic. There was the little iguanas were calling up the windows on the outside, and people were ready to go. And we were like, "Hey, I got 20 implants in my bag. I want to place them all today." But it was that kind of experience that I think you put forth at a great pace, a great level, and I loved every minute of it. So I'm a huge fan. I guess I would say I'm a client. I'm a big fan, but you don't have to be to learn from Dr. Garg. So welcome, and I appreciate you very much. Let me start with
Thank
that.
you so much. Really. Thank you.
It's true. It's just all true. And then your team, right? And then man, you like to have fun. I couldn't keep up with your ass. I was like, Brian, man, I'm going
Especially
to
in
bed.
Dominican Republic, right?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
going to bed. See ya. I was like, all right, we'll talk about it in the morning, but I'm going to bed because I got 10 more implants I want to place tomorrow. And it was just a really good experience. And all the people that I met, they have that same vibe. You could tell you've built a culture in what you teach and what you do, but you're also, hey, I'm open book. You want to come watch there? It was like mi casa, su casa. It just felt really at home. So thanks for doing that. And
Thanks.
believe it or not, folks, we're not here to talk about implants. We're here to talk about private versus corporate. There was something came on, I saw his post, and I was like, oh man, we are underestimating your knowledge and understanding of the two sides. So what we want to dive into is some of the pros involved with working in corporate structures and some of the cons, but also the pros of being independent. Obviously, the independent dental practice, you kind of know where I fall on this one. So let's talk about it. Tell people your background of how you now have huge amount of experiences in both.
Yeah, so is after I left the university, I started one practice and built it, did well because I do big cases, I do implants, I do them quickly. And I wasn't looking to scale that as the terminology goes. I was happy,
Right.
life is good. And actually, someone in my course, 75-year-old said, I want to take an implant course before I start winding down, but I'm going to sell my practice. And we were chatting, and I asked him how much, and he gave me the number. And I said, what do you want to do? He said, I want to come from 5 days a week to about 2 or 3 days a week. I said, well, maybe I'll buy it and I'll hire someone right in this class to do the other 2 or 3 days a week, joking around. You just because
But you're throwing ideas out there.
Right. And I
thinking,
like to do
right?
experiential things. Like
Yeah.
you said, Dominican Republic, we're lecturing, we're going, having a drink afterwards, we're going to dinner. So we're just chatting. And he's like, maybe that would work. And then I talked about it with a few friends of mine. I talked about it with an attorney. He goes, I can write up a contract for you. It was not a dental attorney. It was not a,
Right.
it was just an attorney I knew from my country club. And as we wrote it up, as he said, I want at least a year, I want at least 2 days a week. And I did hire someone in that same course to do the other 3 days. Dr. Lambert said later, he said about, can I get 2.5 days a week? I'm sure, Dr. Lambert, it's your practice. I didn't even remove his diplomas or his sign on the door. And after a year, he said, I'd like to stay longer. I'm like, you don't have to ask me permission. You're welcome to it, your office. And ended up staying about 4 years. And until
I guarantee he's revitalized because
that's
you
what
now,
happened.
right?
Yeah.
And he sees
Yes.
this can be fun again.
And then he was like, I went to dinner with him and his wife when we were just talking about this.
Sure.
And they said, what are you going to change? I said, oh, nothing. His practice is perfect. And they were disappointed. Oh, we thought you're going to bring energy and put some money in new floors and new walls and new chairs. And I said, oh, I didn't want to offend him. I wasn't going to change anything. But if you want, I'll be happy to do all of that. And we did. And it was fun for him.
But that's
And
a facelift, right? That's
yes,
like I was talking to a young doc just yesterday, and people don't change anything. Listen, a coat of paint is cheap,
yes.
and it all of a sudden, oh, it's a fresh look. You don't even have to move his favorite zebra poster on the
We
wall.
didn't.
You
And
can
we
put it
didn't.
right
We put it
back in
back.
the same
We moved to
spot.
put it back after the paint job. Absolutely.
Right. And I'm used to
Yeah.
coming in. I'm getting my hygiene appointment. I'm used to looking at that giraffe over there.
Yes.
I won't move the giraffe. Don't worry. But you clean it up.
Yes.
It just says, okay, there's someone that now maybe there's, it probably needed a little refreshing. That's what most people will say.
Yes. And then we added in more services, of course, the things he wasn't doing. And then a couple years later, someone else in my course mentioned the same thing casually. This time I joked around a little bit more seriously because I'd gone through the ropes once.
Yeah.
Same thing happened. And it's happened very organically. I'm not looking through brokers. I'm not looking for every X number of years, every X number of months I want to add a
Right.
practice. Nothing like that. Something comes
Now,
up.
these are
Or purchasing
general practice.
dental practices, all of them.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Now up to 8 of them. It all
Okay, so
happened
you've
like
grown
this.
it to 8 over how much time span? 5 years, 6 years, 10 years?
No, it's been over about 10, 12 years.
Okay, 10 or 12 years. So
So it is
maybe one
not a,
every other year.
it is
Well,
not a
well,
fast growth. Again, that is not, it was not a business model for me to scale one every year, one every 6 months. So
it wasn't, put it this way, it really wasn't purposeful or intentional,
Exactly.
but it was opportunities there and mutually beneficial.
yes, yes. No,
That's
thank
the only way it's got it. To me, that's the way it works when there's
you know,
mutual.
I've got a call in next week. Someone wants a call about the same type of thing. And I'm like, okay, I'll be happy to talk to you. If it works out, it works out. So I've got those 8 and we've been
So
able
now, so just because we talked off air, I don't want to miss some of the details. The 8 that you own are independent, fee-for-service, out-of-network dental practices, correct?
they are.
Now, did
Usually
you
when
have
I
to
bought
change
them,
any of those business models to get to that point?
we did because the majority of them, when you buy them, they're about 80% PPO insurance, maybe 10 or 15% fee for service, maybe a few dabbling of HMO or
So
something.
did you guys hear that, folks? 80% PPO participation
Yes.
going to full out of network. And he doesn't work in small areas. So this is not a guy who's, quote, rural.
Yeah.
Dr. Garg, he's located in Miami.
Yeah.
We'll talk about where the locations are in a minute. But so you have, that's a challenge, converting those practices to it, but successful, 8 practices.
Right.
That's a
Yeah.
huge point. Sorry, go ahead.
I
That's
don't
my
know.
independent dental practice plug, baby.
Perfect. Yes, that you can do it. And so what I do is in there, we didn't go in and just flip the switch and say, okay, all of you
Right.
guys that have been faithful patients of Dr. Lambers for 30 years, we're no longer taking insurance. What we simply did is our marketing was specific for fee for service. So every new patient, the majority of new patients that came in after that were fee for service. So if he's got 2,000 charts, for example, of his existing clientele, let's say all of them are PPO. As we ramp up marketing, majority of them come in fee for service. A year later, we're up to 3,000 patients, 2,000, maybe 100 or 200 drop out because they're leaving. They left
Yeah.
on 1,800 are still PPO. Now 1,000 are fee for service. The following year, we had another 1,000 patients. Let's say, and I'm giving hypothetical numbers.
Sure.
I don't want someone to say, "Did you absolutely get 100 new patients a month?" No, this is approximations.
But
So
I'll
we're
tell you,
still
that
doing
is
this.
your point is well taken because
Yeah.
I've done the fee for service dentist podcast for 5 years.
Yes.
And the biggest mistake most people will make that are going to go out of network is their marketing is not ramped up or not ready. It's too late or they didn't account for it.
Yes.
They did the education, they told the patient, this is what we're going to do, this is why we're going out of network, but they didn't have the faucet turned on in.
Yes.
They were trying to stop the sewer pipe from going out.
And to simply convert all 2,000 of them, oof, that's a whole
But
different game.
think about it.
It's doable, but it's a
But you
different
built a
game.
big cushion.
Yes, yeah.
All
And
right, so that's
and look
smart.
at
That's
this.
just smart business. Good.
And then eventually, as we got more and more fee for service, then at a certain point, we did just do a hard stop on the PPO.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, there's a tipping point, right? Where you're
Because
like, okay,
yes,
hey, worst comes to worst, we lose over 50%. We're still in
yes,
good shape.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
So
math
that's what,
equation.
yeah, that's what we've done it. And what it's done for us is it allows me to hire whomever I want at the front desk. They don't need to know insurance. They have to have great personalities. Whereas when it's a PPO model, I had to have them have insurance experience, etc.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there's
Now
that
all I
world.
need is great personality.
Yeah.
Okay. I can teach them the rest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this is pretty cool because this could be a whole course right here. Just the process of building a practice and flushing a practice, right?
Yes.
And converting it.
Yeah.
You've done it. You know, again, you don't talk the talk, just you walk the walk. So let me ask you in regards to this, because I'm fascinated by this. What was your biggest challenge? Was your biggest challenge getting the marketing going? Or was the biggest challenge the conversion portion? What was the biggest challenge?
Getting the marketing going, I got lucky is early on because my first practice was a de novo. When I left the university, I built it from scratch. I got the architects, I found the space. We did the build out. It took about 8 months. And we started. And that was the biggest mistake, that first one, because when I was at the university all those years, there was a lot of patients that didn't want to come to the hospital. They want to be seen in a private practice setting. They don't want to park in a parking lot, walk 45 minutes to the building, go up 10 elevators, see cancer
Yeah.
patients, see heart attack patients on their way to get a dental appointment. And so all these patients that were friends of mine waiting for me, I didn't take any patients from the university, but friends and neighbors were waiting for me. So
Sure.
the first 4 months, we killed it. And then it dried up.
Right. Yeah. You cleaned up your backlog. Yeah.
Yes. And I didn't know business. I was from the university. And so the first month I thought it must be the weather. The second month I blamed the politicians. The third month I looked inside and realized, look, you got to blame myself.
That's the hardest thing for people to just flat out just admit. Listen,
Yeah.
it's not you, it's me.
Yeah. And when I realized, I said, wow, and I don't know anything about marketing. I don't know anything about closing cases, nothing is. And so I took courses on this. I was teaching courses on implants, taking courses on running an office and
Yep.
on business and communication, etc. And as we built it up, but it was slow. It crashed after 4 months overnight, but it doesn't build up overnight. It took me a year to build it back up. And this crashing is easy. Building up is not, it was doable, but it took me a year to build it back up because again, I didn't have the marketing and things in place when it crashed. I
Hmm.
had just depended on people waiting for me. And so once that happened, I had great marketing people. So now I knew the day we did, in fact, the way I do it now is I, even before I signed to buy the practice, a month before I talked to the marketing folks, we set up the website. We just don't go live with it yet. We set up everything. And then at 8 o'clock in the morning, when I signed the dotted line, I call them and I say, okay, I just signed 9 o'clock in the morning. Let's go live. So we have everything done on the back end. We go live. You don't get patients within the first day, maybe, but within the second day, we got phone calls coming in from the marketing. So the marketing I have pretty much dialed in now. I didn't originally because I plan it before the closing.
So your
And
marketing then, you're going to be centered around the internet or the, what do you call it, the computer world, right?
it is today. It is today. It wasn't always like that. As you
Exactly.
go, you could do postcards, you could do radio, you
No,
could
I
do
was in the
TV,
yellow page ad
you could do,
world.
oh
I would
wow, you
say.
could do yellow pages. I was at the university during yellow page days, so if I had
Mhm.
been a private practice, yeah. And today it's the majority is internet.
So if I'm calling you, I'm saying, listen, Aaron, I got to practice. It's a small practice. I want to start moving in this direction. What's one thing that I can start doing to help my marketing, to market to what I want to create? I want this patient. I've defined the type of patient I want. Yours is very clear. I want it fee for service. I want them seeking excuse me, the services that we provide, etc. What do you give that person? Give them a little tip. What would you talk
Well,
about?
let's think of how digital marketing works. I just remember they used to call it pay-per-click,
Yeah,
PPC or something.
right.
And pay-per-click, the way it worked is that you bid, I will pay $1 for that guy to click on me. And I bid, I'll pay $2 to click on me. And then you bid $3 and I bid $4. And we're all bidding against each other, aren't we? And so 10 years ago, you bid and you put $1 and you would win the bid and get them to click on you. Pretty soon, everyone's offering $1, and now it's costing you $2 to win the bid, $5 to win the bid,
Yep.
$10 to win the bid. Now, who's winning in all of this is Instagram and Facebook because they're driving up the cost for the same click. They get more eyeballs by having better content, but they get more revenue per click because we're
Hell
all
yeah.
competing with each other. We're driving up the price.
It's a win-win for Google and yeah.
10 years ago, the cost of getting a general dental patient was about between $100 to $200. So if you were getting a dental patient with, if it's $1 a click, 100 clicks, you got a patient out, you're doing good. 200, it's on the high side, you're doing good. Today, it depends on the procedure, but the cost is a lot higher. So if it costs $600 to get a patient in, let's say hypothetically, and you get them in for a filling, the math doesn't work.
Or you get them
So
in one time, you take a tooth out.
yes, the
Emergency.
math may not work.
Mhm.
Okay. So either you got to market higher end procedures, or you got to raise the price of the extraction. And you can't raise the price to $1,000 to cover the market.
Yeah.
So what happens is you've got to market high end. And with that will come the other things. So the marketing cannot be for filling. The marketing cannot be for a crown. The marketing cannot be a extraction. It can be emergency patients, which a lot of times turn into root canals and crown and post and a
Right.
buildup. Okay. It can be aligners. It can be all in four. It can be dental implants. And so that's the one thing when you say easy takeaway is whomever is going to market, it's got to be on something that makes it worthwhile. So on that $600 or $500, whatever the cost of acquisition is to get that patient in, okay? Because let's suppose it's $500. You paid 500 for that. You paid your staff to be there. You paid the overhead. You paid
Yeah.
is etc. It's costing you $600 or $700, and if that's all you get, you broke even. So somehow it's got to break above that, so it turns into profit. Not just on the residual, because obviously you will get money on the residual once they stay a patient over time. And so that's one thing is most practices are doing those things anyway. They may not be doing all of them, but some of them are doing aligners, some of them do easy implants, some are doing selective preservations, some are doing root canals, but it's got to be one of those procedures that you're marketing to make it worthwhile.
Okay. So that's great advice. Now, your 8 practices, are they in the Miami area? Where are they geographically?
Most of them are here, and then I've got a few odd ones here and there because again, I didn't do this with a plan. I'm going to build practices from Miami to Jacksonville or from Miami to Tampa every 100 miles. It was not like that. It's someone calls me up, I have a need for it, etc. For example, I've got a just completely different market. I've got one in Phoenix. And I got 11 chair freestanding building that I own, 11 chair office is in Phoenix. I think that's interesting. But that came about because I wanted a place to also do my live patient courses.
Right.
So I can still do Dominican Republic for those that can travel internationally, those that want to travel internationally.
Yeah, remember that was a
Yes,
challenge around the COVID time, wasn't it? Like
yes,
you had to
it
kind
was
of
around
stay. Yeah.
COVID, the government officials didn't want us bringing 50 doctors at a time. And so we have Phoenix for if it's government officials, someone that doesn't have a visa to travel, they don't want to travel internationally. So we built it so it has the 11 chairs and a 35, 40 person classroom there. So that's in a different market. It runs Monday through Friday as a normal private practice, about 1 weekend a month for live patient programs. But otherwise, the majority of them are in South Florida area.
Okay. So that makes sense. Now, do you have any connection between the offices? In other words, practices that you now own, do you always stick to, I use software X? So at a certain point, we're going to be on software X because it's cloud-based and you can check it remotely, whatever. Is that almost like, call it a DSO. It's a privately owned DSO
But
or a partnership
since I'm
plan.
not, I don't.
No.
And
So
for
you could have
economies of
15 different
scale,
software packages then, right?
yeah, yeah. For
Okay.
economies of scale, I should have the same office software because I could probably get a little discount if I got 8 softwares that are the same, 8 CAT scanners that are the same. When you buy in bulk, you can get a little, you
Yeah, but you
prefer,
also could share too. If you have someone that helps you watch the numbers,
yeah.
then you can
But
spread that talent.
yeah, again, I didn't do it for scaling and making a DSO. So I keep whatever CAT scanner was there. If it's time to renew it, I get whatever I want at that time. And I look at the other way around. The benefit to me is if I have different brands of CAT scanners and I use different brands when I go to the different offices, because
Mhm.
I work at least 4 days a week and I work 10-hour days. So I'm working 40 hours a week clinically. And is that way I'm using all of them. Or if not all of them on the market, I'm using lots of them. For my courses, someone says, here's a CD from my cone
Yeah,
beam.
no,
I can
that's
look at it. Here's a CD from my cone beam. I can look at it.
walk the walk.
Yes, I'm using multiple. You know what? We got Dentrix, we got Open Dental, we've got CareStack, we've got EagleSoft. And so I'm using EagleSoft, I'm using Open Dental, I'm using CareStack, I'm using Dentrix, and probably a couple others that I don't even remember. But these are ones that I use, and I can sit there and say, I like this about the software. So in a course, if someone asks me, what do you think of this? I say, ooh, I like this. This one does the same as this, but it costs about double per month and it does about the same. So just so you know that is I can say that type of thing is without just theory, but actually using it. So downside, I don't have the economies of scale. I can't make the same level of profitability. Plus
Yeah, you
side,
know,
it makes me more
it's hard to share
knowledgeable.
your services too. It's hard to have shared because now you'd have to have a person who has a skill set in 7 different software. You know what I mean? It's a little
Exactly.
tricky.
No, so it is private practices. It is not.
What's 8
Kind of got
independent?
eight private. He's got an 8 office DSO that he's calling private practices. No, they are separate private
Right.
practices.
No, so literally 8 independent practices. Not even it's not even a group really. It's just
Yes,
there's just some different ownership structures.
yes,
But there's eight small, that I like that model. I would have loved to have done that model here. It was just hard to get docs here.
yeah.
Okay, so you've got that down. Now let's talk about what's going on in the corporate side because we're going to start comparing the two. So how'd you get into that?
So on the corporate side is I have a good friend and he is unicorn in the dental space. He did a small roll up, got about 12 offices, built those out and sold those.
So
Then
hold
he,
on, let me ask you one question.
yes.
When you did those 12, obviously a lot different than the way you did your 8.
Oh, he knew what he was doing. He did them all
It's
together,
like
built
franchise,
a
right?
plan.
Like,
Yes. And he did it very quickly. He sold those, made is a lot of money.
oh, okay, so he just
Uh,
flipped the whole thing.
yeah,
He created a corporation with 12 branches and then flipped it.
yes.
Okay.
Then, and I'll give you the short version. I can give you, but is I won't give you all the details. Then he started a water company
Okay.
and sold the Nestle. And once he sold the Nestle, for the next 3 years, he was still on as president and CEO. So he was based in the London office as one of the presidents of one of their divisions. And he had access to every other CEO from all the other Nestle divisions. And so he's talking to all of these guys, his big business, his big CEOs. They're flying around on corporate jets. The corporate jet is, if they had one person going, they had to fly commercial. If they had two people going or three people going, they could take the corporate jet. So if anyone needed a second person to fly, he would
Right.
jump on.
Oh, I'll
That way they're
volunteer.
taking the corporate jet. I'll volunteer. So he's taking the corporate jet, and they're talking about these things. So now you got a very smart dentist, great clinically, great business, sold this, learning the Wall Street type of thing inside for over 3 years.
So this is a dentist. I was just going to double check
Yes.
this. This is
Yes.
actually okay.
Yes.
So
Then
this
came
is the
back.
Tony Robbins of dentistry.
Yeah. Yes. And then came and he actually became the guy that for probably the largest DSO in the country was the person they brought in to take their lower performers and flip them and get them working. So he did that for 2 years. So now he's got the Wall Street type of experience, having built his own DSO and sold that experience, entrepreneur, built that business outside of dentistry, gone into the largest DSO in the country and done turnarounds for their bottom 20% practices. And he said, okay, let's do this again. And now much bigger ambition.
So he hits you up and he says, here's our plan. We're going to create a DSO. And what does he want you in charge of continuing education? Does he want you in charge of clinics? What is the role he wants you?
It's when you start out, it's my official title is clinical officer, chief clinical officer. Does that mean I'm going to check crown margins in every office? Of course not. It's input on the clinical side, right?
Yeah, at least making sure that systems are in
Yes.
place for the clinical stuff to be done properly.
Yes. So it can be systems, it can be CE, it can be lectures, is all of the above. So he's got a very unique model of the DSOs that are out there, and there's a lot of them out there. There's big ones, small ones, medium ones, and his is, I would say, probably the fastest growing is in America today. Is gone from 0 to 80 offices in somewhere between about 5 and 8 years.
Between what'd you say, 5 and what?
Between about 5 and 8 years.
5 and 8 years. So between 80. So about 10 per year at minimum, maybe 12.
Yes. But of course, when we say 10 per year, the first year was not 10. First year might have been 2.
Right.
Last year was like 30. Okay. So
it's probably ramping up. He's probably can have 30 or 40 now. Yeah.
Is now the plan is last year was 30 in the year. Before that was like 50. Okay. So 30 were added last year. Probably 50 will be added in the next 50 weeks. And so at this rate, the goal is to get to 200 within the next 3 years.
So let me ask you.
Yes.
Can you share what the target is? If he's looking for a practice, he's got to have some parameters, right? What would you say? Minimum 7 treatment rooms? Do you know some of those things?
Six treatment rooms.
6 treatment rooms.
Okay.
Revenue base over 1.5. What are some of the things in this scenario?
Is preferably over 1.5 million. Okay. But some practices have been able to join at 1 million.
Okay.
So preferably over 1.5 million, but some, like I say, have been able to get in for less. And but 6 treatment rooms, and then either strong profit margins or the ability to turn it into strong profit margins.
Okay.
Right.
Do locations matter? Urban, rural, suburban?
You know what? There's a variety.
Okay.
And
so that's not a priority.
It's based at Scottsdale, Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay.
And has grown all over Arizona, California, Alaska, Michigan, Florida, Georgia.
I was going to ask you how many states you're in. Are you in New York yet or no?
I don't think there's one in New York yet.
Okay. Pennsylvania, you said?
Yes.
How about Jersey?
I don't think in Jersey yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So now, as he grows, he's got to grow his organization, does he not? Doesn't he have to have people that are scouts and going and?
It is. Everything was, he purchased a building that was about 80,000 square foot building, and he purchased that about 3 or 4 years ago. Now it's of course moved in, but it still is not being all used. 80,000, maybe 20,000 square feet are being used. So there's another 60,000 at headquarters still available for more cubicles, more offices, more of anything that's needed there.
If you think about it, if he went from 0 to 5 over 2 years, you just look at the accelerant factor, right? Yes. And once you hit a certain number, it becomes much easier to grow a little bit faster.
It does. Right?
It's almost like a pyramid. If one refers one, and those 2 refer 2, and then that's how you grow. It's the same way you grow your practice.
Yes. And then it becomes easier to improve them as well. And because now you know exactly what you got to do. to improve this.
Yeah, you got a formula.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And is
Let's speak to that. So if you come in and you buy a practice from a dentist, they join, can you just run down what the typical arrangements would be? They're going to sign a 3-year, 5-year deal. Just give me some parameters.
let me give you the rough numbers. Is
Yeah.
usually the way it's done, or I guess all the way it's done, is buying 51%. So our group buys 51%, you retain 49%, and it is true ownership. So what that means is later on, if it sells to private equity at higher valuation, you get that higher valuation for your 49%. Not the guys at the top get it and you don't. A lot of times that's what happens. So in many DSOs, what happens is they have two class of shares.
Absolutely. Did you get in early?
This
Did you get in
class,
late?
upper class shares, they get the 12x, 14x, all those numbers here. And these guys go from 4x to 6x or 8x.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Here, all the shares are equal. So your 49% grows at whatever multiple everybody else gets.
So you're not really looking for someone to retire then. You don't care how old they are
Not at all.
because you're creating partnerships.
Yes.
Okay, so a little bit like the MB2 model, a little bit.
This is true wealth. Yes.
Okay.
Because now they're participating in, they're getting paid, of course, as they're working, but when they sell another 10%, another 30%, another 40%, they get those higher valuations.
Okay. Have you had a recapitulation or it's recapitalization, excuse me, right? Or recapit.
No,
What's the word?
Yeah, a recap is a short word.
Recap. I know recap is a short term, but it's one or the other. Has that happened or no?
No. No.
Okay. But you've had people obviously go in, right? At what'd you say, like let's say a 3x or 4x of EBITDA, and then they can sell 10% maybe at a little bit higher EBITDA?
Oh, they'll probably get it much higher than 10x. They'll get much higher than 10x. They'll get 12x, 14x. They'll get something like that.
On the second sale or on the first sale?
On that 49%.
On the 49. So if they go out of 49 and say, listen, I want to drop down to 30%. I want to sell 19%. Who's buying that?
That would be private equity.
Private equity. Okay. All right. So when you got in this, you got to put some money in this, I'm assuming, right?
Yes.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yes.
But you also,
I have a title, but I also have equity in it. Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, but you're not some new kid on the block, for crying out loud. You've been around the world a few times.
Right.
So you have a great understanding. So let's talk apples versus oranges then. Okay. Let's use a couple scenarios. Maybe this will help explain it. I'm a 40-year-old practitioner. I've owned my own practice for 10 years. I'm a little tired of some of the, what would be a fancy word? Some of the business of dentistry items.
Administrative, yes.
Administrative. I want to see the patients and I want to go home.
Yes.
I love the dentistry. I don't like all the other stuff. What would the scenario be in the corporate world? And what would your advice be if he wanted to go corporate? And what would your advice be if he wanted to do a private move or independent sale or something like that?
So you're saying that sale, but not that he keeps
or
it.
sale, like, hey, you come in and buy it. I'll stay and work 3 days, but I'm not looking to retire. I'm 40.
Let's break it down into 3 different categories.
All right, cool.
Okay, let's break it into 3 categories. And there's 100 different ways to do things, but let's just break into 3 for now.
Sure.
So let's suppose you say, what I'm going to do is sell it. I'm 40, I'll find a buyer for it. And we'll just take easy math. Let's say it's a $1.5 million a year practice. Let's suppose we sell it for $1.5 million. Okay.
Gotcha.
It might be 80% of that, might be 100% of that, might be 120% of that. Let's just say for now, you sell for 1.5 million, you got 1.5 million cash. You put in the stock market or you put in real estate, you're making your 10% approximate returns on that. So you get 150,000 a year on that. You go to work for that guy, you tell him, look, like Dr. Lambert did with me, I'll stay 4 days a week or 5 days a week, and I'll get my whatever 32% of collections. Okay. That guy comes in, he buys it, you got 1.5 million, you're getting $150,000 relatively passive. You're doing your 32%. If you keep on producing the same 1.5 million, that 1.5 million might not have been you. It might have been 300,000.
Yeah, you got to add all the other parts, right?
Yes.
Your hygiene and all these other things. Yeah.
So let's say you were responsible for 1 or 1.2 million. So now you're getting 32% of that. You're taking home 350,000 from the practice.
Yeah, so 350 you're taking home.
350 from the practice, 150 from the investment. You're taking home $500,000. You don't manage the business at all.
Okay.
Right?
And it's still an independent practice for all intents and purposes because
And
someone bought it.
You can
right?
leave anytime you want to if you don't like the guy.
Correct. And you're 100% divested.
Yes. No, okay. And if the practice grows now to 5 million, you don't share in that.
Yeah, because you sold.
Okay, but you're getting your 500,000 a year.
Yeah, you got your money up front. So
Yes.
where it goes, right?
Yes. Okay. So that was one option I think we just said where you just sell it. What was the second? Oh, second one could be you keep it and you say, I don't like to do the business side. I
Yeah.
don't like to do the administrative side, but I will take training on that. Okay. And there's good consultants and bad consultants, and maybe more bad consultants than good consultants. But let's suppose we're able to find good business training. And let's suppose we're able to find that type of thing where it does make it more exciting to do and not a chore to do. Okay, I like this stuff. It's not
So
so
you get
bad.
your shit together. There you go.
Yes. Okay. So let's suppose out of your 1.5 million, you're running at 65% overhead, you're making 350,000, and now you're spending some is to get training. And so it will come out of not the 350, it may come out of this part,
Yeah.
pre-tax dollars. Yeah. So you end up losing maybe about 50,000 a year, but hopefully you're growing the practice. So you're actually not losing, you're still taking home the same. Your 1.5 climbs to 1.8. You're paying for the training, the business, and or consulting. You're
Right.
still taking them 350, maybe a little bit more. You may be enjoying the business side a little bit. You can keep going. Another option is third option. You say, okay, let me sell off half. Let's take the same valuation, 1.5 million. You sell off half, you get 750,000. Put that in the stock market, real estate. You're getting about 10%. You get about 75,000 a year off of that. You're working there. You're getting your 32%, let's say, that off the is off the 1.2 million, you get 350,000 plus the 75,000 on your investments in real estate or stocks,
Yeah. So you're around 4.
and then you still own 49%, right? And now let's suppose that now grows at $1.5 million practice, goes to 3.5 million, which is very doable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, with the right DSO. It goes to 2.5 million. It has a 20% EBITDA, again, very doable. 20% EBITDA is now 700,000. 700,000 means it goes for, let's say, 12x EBITDA. So its valuation is now 8.4 million, and you own half of
You
that.
get 49%, right?
So you own $4 million. Okay. If and when it does do that flip. And it may not be all 49% at one time, it may be 30%. So you may say, okay, 3 years down the road, it flips, I get 3 million. Then another 2 years down the road, it flips again, I get another 2 million out of it. But then you are staying there.
In order for you to get out, you have to sell your shares.
Yes. And then you don't get that higher valuation.
Well, yeah, you don't have any equity. Yeah.
Yes.
Once you give up equity, people don't understand what equity actually means.
Yes.
That was the one young guy I was talking to yesterday. I want to own, I want to have autonomy. I said, do you understand what equity?
Yes.
Really, it's an asset, you can borrow against it, et cetera, et cetera. It may not actually feed you more money at this present moment. You may not have this huge windfall cash wise, but this is the secondary growth part, right?
Yes.
All right. Okay. So let's break down to a person who's thinking of this. Give me some of the pros of the DSO model, right? And then some of the cons, like some of the thought processes that a person has to really process.
If you look at the big picture view, it would be is the biggest pro would be the valuation, right? The other half, because it's going to be a much higher valuation. But alongside with that is it's not immediate. You don't get your 1.5 million for selling it today. You get half now. You get the other portion, yes, higher, but at a much later, yet to be determined date. So you got to be okay with that. You got to be okay. It is hopefully 3 years. It might be 5 years. It might be 8 years. It might be never if something goes belly up. So there's a certain amount of risk with that.
But also talk about what it means when you only have 49%, it's run by the other entity.
Yes.
And in order, you're talking the successful route, which is the other entity does a great job. They increase flow, they grow the practice. So they grow it on both ends. They can drop their price, they can drop their costs and increase their revenue, and everybody does well.
Yes.
What does that mean to that person who is no longer has his hand on the flusher?
And for that, we should just talk generically, not about the
Right.
one I'm with.
Correct.
Generically, it can mean anything. Okay. It can mean anything from where you're allowed to order from Patterson to where you're not allowed to order from Patterson. It can be where you're allowed to use your favorite lab to you're not allowed to use any lab except for the one approved. It can
Do
be
they mess
allowed-
with your staff? Do they come in and say, listen, we can't pay these people?
Ours doesn't. Ours doesn't, but a lot of them do.
But it can.
Yes.
So your right-hand person who helps you produce what you produce,
Yes.
they might say, we're paying her too much. We can bring in this gal, or this person, and we can pay her $20 an hour, not $30 an hour.
Yeah.
So they're saving, and meanwhile, it's affecting you.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so
What are some other things they got to be on the lookout for?
is for the doctor is so he may have people deciding for him what supplies he can order, who he can hire, and
Correct.
what salary ranges he can pay them,
What
and
lab he has to use?
what lab he has to use. Is again, ours doesn't dictate those things, but most of them do. The software, almost all of them dictate, and software, even the one I'm with, dictates a standardized software because, as you said, you need to have one centralized location
Yeah, I'd be
and look at all
crazy
the
not
numbers
to.
and
Yeah,
analyze that. Yes. So
as
the
an
software
organization. Yeah.
is something that is, I think, pretty universal. I can't imagine any large organization is having separate softwares. So now it is staff is learning the software, the doctor being on board with the new software.
How about the business administration? What if they say, listen, we're going to start participating in this insurance plan because we've negotiated rates or whatever the case, but now you're going to start being in network.
I
That
can't
can
speak.
happen, right?
Yeah, that can. I can't speak to it personally. It doesn't happen with ours,
Yeah.
but of course, it is.
Or what if they just change your model? Well, go the other way. Listen, I've been in network. I'm happy. This is how it's working. I've sold. Now I've got to go out of network, which takes a different mindset, right? But what's happened is the control's been removed from your pocket.
Yes.
And then you have to live with a lot of that stuff. Now, let me ask you in your
So
scenario,
we're talking in general
right?
because most, I mean, in ours at 51%, but in most folks are selling 70%, 80%,
Right.
90%. And you really have a very small piece. So definitely the control is somewhere else. You are, in essence, a employee with profit share, if you want to
Right.
think that. Yes.
So let's say in your scenario, your deal, and you guys buy a practice and they have a certain business structure and they want to make some changes and you guys are thinking maybe it's not a good idea. How does that negotiation go?
So far it hasn't happened, and maybe just because we're small, but it could come up in the future as it gets larger. So far, if the practitioner, the 49% owner says, I'd like to add 2 operatories, nobody at corporate has said you can't add the 2 operatories. I'd like to
So
add
when
4
they do it,
operatories.
but when they do add the operatories, that's a shared cost, right?
Yes.
So the 51% has to put in 51% of the cost and the 49 has put, so it is truly shared. That is truly a partnership type of
It is
arrangement.
shared, and those decisions have been made at the local level.
Okay. So what does that look like in terms of administration time? Because you can't do this, right? You can't do this if you just want to see patients and go home because you're still a part owner. So you've got to put a little blood, sweat, and tears
You
into
still have
that
to. You still
49%.
have to. If you want really a quality DSO where you have significant ownership, okay, 30%, 40%,
Right.
49%,
Yeah.
you cannot give up 100% of the administrative. Because if you do, practice will never optimize. I mean, you could, but it's not going to do as well as because even from corporate, there's things they can do. They can do HR, they can do marketing, but the local, I mean, getting a vibe for is Susie getting along with Vicky? That's at the local level. And you can say, that's not my, I don't do that anymore. I sold out. Not my business if they get along or not. Oh no, you have to.
You got 49%. You got 49% skin in the game. I mean,
Absolutely. Not my problem if Vicky's going to call in sick tomorrow or not. Yes, you should be focused on that.
yeah. So like a buddy of mine sold to Heartland and his deal, and he was happy and it has worked out well, was I don't want, I'm going to do, I wash my hands of that. Sold
Then you would go
100%.
with, exactly. Then you would go somewhere where you sell 100%. And then it doesn't matter if Vicky comes tomorrow or not. Okay. It may affect his percentage because he may not be
Right.
as
He may not
productive.
hit his number.
Yes. Okay. But it'll be much less effect on him. Yes. Okay.
But
But
it's just,
if the game is you want your 49% valuation to go up much more, then you want growth. You're not just thinking of the daily number, you think of the monthly number, the annual number, the profitability.
yeah, but some people can't think past that. Let's just, if you can get person to think on the local level first, right? Then maybe with some education, some training, you can get them to think a little more globally. But if you can understand, listen, if you have a harmonic and your office is running tune, your production's going up, your take home's going up.
Yes.
That's a
where
simple, direct relationship.
and that's where a quality organization has to keep in touch with every single owner. A quality organization has to meet with every single owner on a regular basis.
So let's compare what you're doing.
Not just to teach them, but to coach them, to mentor them, to motivate them.
That's huge.
Yes, yes.
So in the DSO world that you're in, do you provide executive coaching or training to the docs?
Whether you want to call it that or not, yes, every month. Monthly meetings.
Monthly meetings with
Monthly meetings
other
for business.
owners or with
Yes.
just my ownership in my office and
No,
the
with all
executive
the
board?
owners. With all the owners.
And
And
is it a full day?
and monthly clinical meetings, half days, essentially,
Half days.
evening show.
Yeah, see, it's funny. My son, right? He's like, I don't want to do what dad does. Guess what? Dad does this stuff so you can come in and have a really nice life. And a lot of that stuff's been taken care of. So that it runs smoothly. And it doesn't happen magically. It doesn't appear. How about continuing education? What if a person gets into this scenario in your DSO world and they say, listen, I want to start doing implants?
Continuing education is trickier
Yeah, let's talk about that.
because now, since the partnership, someone else is not going to pay for your continuing education.
They don't share it at all. They don't say, hey, we'll give you 10% towards it, like an allotment or something. No.
So now continuing education is coming out of your pocket.
But if you're still part owner, it's a deduction.
And so basically half is coming out of the practice, right?
Correct.
Yes. Okay.
So there's a little
Sorry,
share.
it's a deduction, yes. But it is coming out of your funds, not
Understood.
not
Yeah.
the office. Okay.
So it behooves you, but do you guys have a structured type of, hey, listen, here's some courses that we are tied into or we work with people and
We do, but if you look at even the biggest ones out there, let's say Heartland, let's say an
Yeah.
Aspen, what level and quality of CE do they really provide? Really?
well, because you provide it.
But not
You live
in-house.
this.
Yeah, but not in-house to Heartland.
Correct.
The in-house Aspen implant instructors, they're not the national names. They're not the
But
national
now
educators.
you're talking about a state employee versus an independent capital thinking.
So
Yeah.
on the private practice side, you run it through the office and tax deduct the CE.
Yeah.
So as you're paying is out of pocket.
So let me ask you, with the 8 independent practices that you own on that side,
Yes.
what does that look like? Do you guys do some of that stuff?
For the CE,
Yeah.
yeah, there we provide all the CE. Yes. And
Now,
so
is that your role in that business model? Like when you have these people
Well,
that you're working with?
for the eight is independent
Yeah.
practices, it is more CE than anything out there, more than any DSO, more than any private practice, more than anyone, because they get almost unlimited CE dollars per year. Because we've got 28 different courses, not just implants, because I co-sponsor perio courses and Botox courses and CBCT courses.
So
And
this is through your private
yes,
business.
so they can take all of them and essentially no cost.
It's a hell of a deal.
So now it is good for recruitment.
It's a hell of a deal. Yeah,
Because-
you got a lot more you're offering. It's not just, hey,
Yeah.
I'm your buddy. Hey, we got some
You know what?
juice.
We'll match their percentage. You go to anybody else in town, we'll match the percentage. Plus, we'll give you 10, 20, $30,000 a year CE. Plus, on your first implant, I will be your personal assistant. I will suction for you. I will personally retract for you. And
Yeah.
your second and your first 10 implants, you will have Dr. Arun Garg as your assistant suction for you. Okay. The free CE and this. As you say, I want oral sedation, you got it, no cost. I want perisurgery, you got it, no cost. You want Botox, you got it, no cost. So it's good for recruitment for us. It's good for retention. Because now
Yeah.
what happens is they can't take every single course in the first year. So now you stay the second year to get more courses. You stay the third year to get more courses. You stay the fourth year to get more courses. And so it's good for retention. And it's good for upskilling
Mhm.
because now they grow themselves, which grows us, right? So if they grow themselves as an associate from doing 500,000 a year to $1 million a year, where they're taking double home, but we're getting double out of them. They grow themselves to producing 1.5 million as an associate. They're taking triple home, getting triple is out of them. So we're upskilling them for them, which is good for the rest of their life. For us, retention, because I want to take next year's course. I want to take the level 2 continuum. I want to take the bone grafting. And recruitment and we can match everybody else's percentage.
Tell you, when I come to Miami next time, I'm just coming to
And
your
then we
office.
say, we've
I'm
got
just
all
going to hang out in your reception area.
And then we say we got all the toys. We get the latest CAT scanners,
Right.
we get the latest intraoral scanners, we get the latest AI, because I like to play with these things, and I like to play with them partly because I like that, and two, I've got to know about the latest stuff for my CE courses.
But also, you know how it works.
Right.
Right. And you know what it means. It's not get something just to have something.
Right.
It's to get something out of it. Like the ROI, it may not be quote dollars, but it allows you to it will be dollars because it's going to allow you to do certain things a certain way, which will open up other areas to do certain different ways. It's just a business decision. So I'm going to ask you 2 closing questions. They're going to be the same thing, but I want to ask you your perspective when you work with dentists on the uprise, so younger dentists, we'll say.
Right.
And I'm sorry if you've been experienced dentist and you haven't been in it for a long time. newer to the profession within their first 10 years, what are two of the biggest mistakes they make going into their own career field, right? Ownership is where I'm going with that. And then on the other side, I'm going to ask you the people now, maybe that have a little hair closer to mine, that are getting out, what are some of the biggest mistakes they make getting out? So let's start with the people going in. What do you see are some of the biggest things that you just want to grab and talk to them and say, listen, don't do this?
I don't know if there's a big overlying theme, but let me give something very specific and tangible.
Yeah.
The way dental school training occurs, I think, is we're taught that you're slow and meticulous, or you're fast and sloppy.
Correct.
And that is the mindset of dental school professors usually.
Uh-huh.
Slow and meticulous, or fast and sloppy.
But remember, it also allows them to justify why they're not out there in private practice.
Yes, exactly.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Is if I drop my car to the mechanic next door, he's going to take a half a day to do oil change. Now, I'm not a race car fan or anything, but when I see the cars going around the track when I'm flipping channels, they pull in the pit stop, they're in and out in seconds. Oil change, tire change, fueled up. Are they sloppy, or are they at the best peak of their profession? They're at the peak of their profession. If I were to do an implant and somebody that just started and does his first implant, I would do it faster. Is it become sloppier or at the peak? So I think that mindset of slow and meticulous or fast and sloppy is the first thing that I try to change in our young associates. Is that you can be fast and good. Is it might be fast and sloppy, but sometimes fast means you're organized. You got systems in place. You got a thought process. You're not going for that crown prep. Sometimes I start on the buckle. Sometimes I start on the lingual. Sometimes I start on the occlusal. Sometimes I go clockwise. Sometimes I go counterclockwise. You just got a system like they do when they're changing the tires in that pit stop. And so that's how you get your speed up. And with that speed up, that's how you feel confident. That's how the patient feels confident under your care. And so I think that's one of the biggest things when they're starting out, get the speed up. And a lot of them, I see them in the chat groups like, what CE should I take? Great, take it. What business training should I take? Great, take it. But if you still take 2 hours for crown prep, you're not going to have the confidence. The patient won't have the confidence. It doesn't matter how many courses you've taken. It doesn't matter what business training you've taken. So is speed and still making it very good. In fact, making it better, not making cutting corners. Second question, for those that are slowing down, getting out, exit strategy, I see a lot of folks waiting too long to figure out an exit strategy.
Mm-hmm.
The exit strategy for a lot of dentists is 911 plan. When they call 911 for me, that's when I'm done.
It's a fire sale. They call that a fire sale in real business, right?
Yeah. And so waiting too long to figure out what it is I want to do. Do I want to sell it outright and work as an associate? Do I want to upskill myself and keep on doing it? And then I don't worry about what the sale of the practice is because I've built enough out of it in revenue. I sell it to a DSO or to have other investments. I think is in dentistry is one of those professions where our entire retirement plan in our mind is our practice sale. My dad is a doctor at the university and I grew up in academic medicine. He never thought of his practice as a retirement because it wasn't his practice. So his entire life, he
in that
invested.
generation, it wasn't kosher. It wasn't acceptable to sell that wasn't a thought.
That wasn't a thought. So
people don't get that.
His mindset was, I have to build for my retirement. I got to invest in real estate. I got to invest in stocks. And many dentists do that. Yeah. And so the practice is the cherry on the top. It's a little extra gravy. It's a little extra but for some, their focus on it, this is all of it, the practice sale. And then if it doesn't go as expected, it gets tough.
So your advice in that scenario is when you're early in your career, set a little aside that's purposeful.
Oh, absolutely.
For the wealth or the portfolio building, whatever you want to call it, whatever word you want to use.
I had a text message today is from one of our doctors and he's in one of my business masterminds and he just sent it today and it was just met with the stockbroker and set aside things for myself and my wife and my kids and it's going to grow X amount in the next 20 years I won't share the exact amount it says on there, but he has set that up to be the primary part of his retirement.
To force discipline.
Yeah.
Is what it is. But it's definitely more mindset too. What is your advice if you got a person who's like a Jones. I got to keep up with the Joneses. Listen, I got to have this. I got to have that. They put the cart before the horse. They're more important. I got to drive a Beamer. I got to have this Jaguar. I got to have all these shiny toys, but I don't have my barn built yet.
Yeah.
What kind of advice do you give to those kind of folks?
Is if you think of financial circles, is you've got to have the first tier, second tier, and third tier. And the first tier would be money in the bank in case COVID comes. Money in the bank.
What's your emergency fund?
Yeah, so you got emergency fund.
That's Dave Ramsey right there, by the way.
So you got 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a
Yep.
year of operating capital. All right. Is 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year's worth of mortgage payments. So you've got that relatively something safe. Things like is a CD or cash or not cash on the mattress, but cash earning a little something. Next level is investments, is things that will get you about 10%. Is things like stocks or real estate. I just kind of use it and historically get you about 10% a year. And then your third bucket, yes, can be the Beamer. Yes, can and should be yachts, can be the second home, can be vacation, can be crypto, can be investing in restaurants and hotels.
Yeah, or take a venture capital type of approach. Hey, you take
Okay.
50,000 in this brand new dental product and
Yes.
you want part of the company.
So and then each one of us have to sit down based on our relative risk and based on our income and based on our health on how much I want in this bucket, and this bucket. But it's got to be all three buckets. And the scenario you said is some people who have forgotten bucket 1 and 2 focus just on bucket 3. We just got to
Right.
remind them, look, there's 3 separate buckets. You may choose to have more or less in each one, and we can talk about that, but there's got to be all 3 buckets.
Now, let me ask you, with all the courses, do you teach that course? Do you teach a wealth management course?
I incorporate it. Okay. What I started doing is about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, is set something up, and I just call it Elite Entrepreneurs. And we get together and include this as in there. We get together and include AI in there. We get together and talk about health in there. Is because if you don't have your health, nothing else matters. Is we get together and when we want to do a group purchase, if we want to do a group purchase of 50 guys buying the X-ray gun, we can do that. So it's for finances, giving us leverage. It's for health. It's for wealth. It's for business ideas, but a higher level business ideas, not the day-to-day KPIs in the dental office. Yeah.
You know what's funny is my college football, the football coach at my college right now, with the way money is, these kids are getting money, he says, it's my job to make you financially literate. That's a different take.
Yes.
That's forward thinking. That's my kind of guy.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yes.
Because a lot of it, you're going to go back. Look, you already talked about my dad did this. He taught me. I learned. My dad, one of his biggest lessons to me was, listen, you want to work for yourself.
Yeah.
That was a big push. And then there wasn't too much else on the other parts. But I was always raised to think, listen, if you make 100, live off of 60.
Yes.
Just pretend it's not there. And if someone says, listen, you got to put $10 away for a rainy day, put $20 away. That was always my thinking. And then I didn't have to get into the nitty gritty.
And if you got a plan that just takes it automatically, then you don't see it. Yes.
Yeah, set it and forget it. The old Ronco commercial,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
There you go, man. All right. So listen, I can't thank you enough. I love you, man. I appreciate everything.
Thanks.
Please share with everybody how they can get in touch with you. And just leave, you want to leave numbers, you want to leave emails, you want to
Okay,
leave
I don't have a slide or
your
anything. But
website, fire away.
I can give you my direct cell number. It comes straight to me. Is 305-331-6481.
And he answers, by the way, folks. I can attest to it.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I haven't talked to you in a couple of years, everyone.
No,
I appreciate it.
you reached out within minutes, right?
Yeah, no kidding. I was like, oh, you got it.
Yeah.
I didn't have to spend 20 minutes. Hey, remember me? I was like, that's pretty cool.
And text is best, of course, these days because so many spam calls. Most
You
of us
got
don't pick up the phone, yeah, but text is best. And then email is very easy. My personal email, not corporate, not my office's, Arun, ARUN.implantseminars@gmail.com.
Okay.
So
So
regular
now
personal Gmail account.
your courses, right? Implant seminars.
Yes.
What are the other ones?
For implants, I've got is my entry level is either online modules because people want to watch it at 2 a.m. in the morning, is
In their underwear. Yeah.
Yeah, in their underwear. I didn't want to say that, but as
It's a
then
bad image. I know.
I've got the one that you took, at that time it was probably 6 months, 4 months long. So 4 weekends, and that's our flagship. I made a mini version of it, just 1 weekend condensed down. And then I make the package, which is that 4 weekends. The 5th weekend is live patient Dominican Republic.
I think that's what my son took. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's 5 different pathways. Is online, in underwear is one weekend, just the 4 weekends, or the flagship program, 5 weekends, 4 weekends on pig jaws, human cadaver heads, fifth weekend on actual live patients.
I'm going to tell this, man, this is a shameless plug, but you're talking to the person that runs it. You can tell what kind of a human being he is just by listening to him speak. He walks the walk, talks the talk. He is the real deal. So if you are ever concerned, like, you're not going to get this, it's fluff. No, that's bullshit. You are going to get real, live, practical experience. And like we said, it is geared to the general practitioner.
Growing the GP. That's it. That's my mission in life.
So if you're thinking, I may want to do implants, probably not your course. But if you're thinking, I do want to do implants, absolutely your course. And that's your guy. So thanks, man. I appreciate you very much.
Thank you. Really.
Have a good one.
All right. That was fun.
This has been a production of Dentistry in General Radio Network. Visit our website, dentistryingeneral.com, to join engaging clinical and business conversations, explore our dental podcasts, and stay updated on our upcoming live events.